Thunder. This podcast is ran by Jacob, Nick, Justin, Tayler, and Kamiar. Listen to future episodes on your favorite podcast streaming service like iTunes or Spotify. And don't forget to leave a 5-star rating.
This is LUGUENTZ DORT. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up? Welcome to the Uncontested podcast. We're the part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and the official podcast of BoomtownHoops.com. We are live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you're watching, really. I am your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen, and I am joined today by Kamiar Marabian.
Hey, man, that's me. If you haven't been watching college basketball today, holy crap, like you've been missing out a lot. Like this has been the most must-see college basketball stuff I've seen in a while. And I can't tell if it's because A, the tournament's just really good, or also B, we got robbed of it last year, right? So we didn't get to see like the ending. So I'm sure it's a combination of both, but it's been really fun to watch.
We've got Justin Peabody along.
I'm just here to point out to everybody that my 4-year-old son, who picked the bracket based off which mascot he liked best, has ORU winning it all. So
just a genius.
Yeah, a little savant in the making, basically. I'm going to drive him to Vegas tonight.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Have him pick out your lottery numbers.
We've also got Taylor Peterson along for the ride.
You know, I just, for the intro, instead of throwing up that Uncontested logo, I thought I, would just have a little Cade Cunningham live for you guys.
Violate some copyright laws in the process.
NCAA.com. It's free. All you have to do is just sign in with a cable provider.
I don't know why you're looking for Cade Cunningham, knowing that OKC is not getting him.
Yeah, speaking of ORU, the Thunder are probably more at like Asmus and that other big guy. Or I forgot his name.
Y'all need to start looking at Scotty Barnes. Is what you need to start looking at.
Scotty Barnes still too high for us.
7 to 10 range is what you need to start looking at.
All right, gentlemen. Well, the Thunder played an early game today on this Sunday against the reeling Houston Rockets. Arguably worst team in the league, Houston Rockets.
Yeah, that was
and
really
Houston
bad.
Lost again. The Thunder beat them 114-112. John Wall had a shot to win the game at the buzzer. Apparently went directly against the coach's orders, ran a play that he was not supposed to run. I don't think any coach is drawing up John Wall contested from 28 feet for the game. But that is what he did. The Thunder prevail against the Houston Rockets, 114-112. Thunder, no Shea, no Horford, no Hill, no Baisley. They started 4 guys who have G League experience in the past, 18 months, and then a 19-year-old rookie.
The Thunder had the second youngest, per Thunder PR, they had the second youngest starting lineup in NBA history, ironically enough, behind the Houston Rockets, who did that. They didn't say when. Also, they were the youngest starting lineup to ever win a game in NBA history.
Wild.
And all while the NCAA tournament is going on currently. I'm sure, I haven't done the research on this part, but I'm sure there are starting 5s in the NCAA tournament right now who are probably older or average and older age than the starting lineup for the Thunder today.
I saw a tweet. I think it was from 3Cone. 3Cone said, I think the Thunder's average age starting lineup today was younger than OU's starting lineup yesterday. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy,
man. Also, I didn't even get to shout out, just before we dive into Thunder stuff, shout out the ORU Golden Eagles.
Yes, sir.
Golden Eagles stand right here.
Bunch of parties at the Praying Hands.
Yeah, that's right.
The Navy Center's lit.
Bring your own Kool-Aid or Coke. Coca-Cola, Sprite.
That
as Justin takes another sip of his whiskey.
The very end of that Houston game, didn't that remind you just of maybe fond or not fond memories of Russell Westbrook, where he would just take an uncontested 40-foot jumper?
Hey, plug in the pod handle or the pod name.
Yeah,
exactly.
All the above.
It's that John Wall shot was eerily Russ 4 years ago esque. It was not fun. But Kamiar, you bring up a good point there. So I want to ask you guys: was this game more impressive by the Thunder running all these young guys and winning, or is it more of just an embarrassment for the Rockets?
Yes.
See all the above, yeah. I mean, the Thunder literally. To your point, Jacob, you texted us this, or you texted me this. I don't know. You either texted me or you put this in the Slack. I get confused from all of our conversations.
So popular.
But you mentioned Kenrich Williams. Kenrich was having a great game. He's been doing great things for the Thunder this season. And Kenrich is pulled down the stretch for Poku. The Thunder essentially run a play where a main option, mind you, is to get the ball to Poku, knowing that the Houston Rockets are going to foul. They do foul Poku. Poku misses 1 of 2 free throws, gives Houston the chance, and instead of running a more likely play, I guess you could say, to either tie the game up or win it, they just give it to John Wall and let him ISO. So was it a John Wall, it did a bad decision or, took a bad shot, had a bad decision, or was it more so like a battle of the tanks? Because that's kind of what it seemed like down the stretch.
I don't know, man. If you saw Steven Silas post game, I don't know.
He was devastated. That's a fair point.
I think so.
They
asked him, does this string of losses, is it starting to weigh on the players? And there was a good 10 to 15 second pause. And he just says, yeah. And
dejected.
Tank or no tank, whatever is going on, that team wants a win. And I think today was an opportunity for them to get the win. But LUGUENTZ DORT and the untankable Thunder had other plans. And I think that it's been the thing that's been so fun about this roster all year is the guys that are on it, everybody's in. They're all in. They're bought into the system. They're bought into making the hustle plays. They're bought into doing the little things, which is such a far cry from a lot of Thunder teams that we've watched through the years, that it makes games like today where it's okay, we're literally going to start or sit the entire starting lineup except for Dort. And Dort's going to go off for 23. Roby's going to get a double-double. Moses Brown's going to get a double-double. These guys just don't quit. And so I don't know what else the Thunder can do from a front office perspective if they're trying to lose games. Now, granted, it was the Houston Rockets. And like we alluded to at the top of the podcast, one of the worst teams in the NBA currently. So you're not going to be playing the Houston Rockets every night. But I think to sum it all up, it is the Thunder continuing to do all the little things that win you basketball games, even if that's not necessarily what you want.
I mean, you look at OKC and then you look at a team like Houston, or you look at teams like Sacramento and teams like Minnesota that have been at the bottom for not just one season, but oh my goodness, several seasons. And they just can't seem to get it done. And I don't think it's necessarily caught up in the coaches and the players. And I mean, they're parts of it, but I think it's a culmination of, and this is the most rosy glassed Thunder fan person ever. But I think you can attribute a lot of that to the culture that they have really culminated over in Oklahoma City. I mean, their identity is we're going to work hard on defense and we're going to see what comes out the other side, and hopefully OKC can get some stuff done. And I mean, realistically, that's how OKC's been winning their games, right? I mean, defense and not just outscoring their opponents. And team defense, they're switching up between man, they're switching up between zone. And then you look at a team like Houston, they have way better players in Oklahoma City right now. But their system, their culture, their community, there's none of that. There's none of that for the Sacramento Kings. There's none of that for the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's a lot of these teams, they have players, but they don't have substance. And that sounds pretty rosy glass sort of thing. But I think that's a legit thing. Players come to Oklahoma City and they're holy crap, it's a top-notch organization because they do the little things. Well, Oklahoma City has to do all the little things because, it's not Miami, it's not Los Angeles. So you have to be really basketball center oriented, but also I think it's really important to acknowledge that Lou Dort came out after the game and suggested, he's hey, when Shea's gone, we got to pick up his slack. We know what to do. Shea's our leader. They already know who their de facto leader is. And remember when we were 5 years ago, Russ, KD were on the team.
Who is
the
leader?
We're like, well, KD's
Maybe
the best player on the
Maybe
team.
Nick.
KD's the best player on the team. Russ is probably like the alpha leader of the team. And then before Perk got traded, he was maybe like the megaphone for the team. You never really knew. And
There's
then
only one silverback.
Yeah, no, for real. And then especially once Perk got traded, it was like, okay, like who's the leader? And we all felt like maybe it was Russ because he was just so vocal and aggressive and like the alpha. And KD kind of would just rather like slink in a corner and shoot 30, get 30 points. There's an unquestioned leader on this team. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think it actually does a lot of positives for this team going forward.
And we mentioned everyone. Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
I was going to say, everyone kind of falls in line and kind of knows their role on this team. And Kamiar, I think you killed it as far as like, this is a culture thing. I think back to the fourth quarter of that Houston game. How many times did you see Kenrich Williams crash the offensive glass and get the Thunder an extra possession, right? Lu Dort gets beat off the dribble by John Wall there with like 30 seconds left. But again, these kids are the Goonies. They never say die. He chases it down and has an insane chase down block on John Wall off the front of the rim. Which
I just came up with a good t-shirt idea.
Yeah, essentially saves the Thunder the game, right? Because if John Wall makes that layup, I think the Rockets go up 1 and the Thunder have the ball with the shot clock off. And then at that point, like, who knows what happens, right? But it's those little things, those hustle plays, they add up over time. And I think all of that kind of culminates into Kenrich Williams. He is like the epitome of everything that this team and this culture is about. That's what it feels like to me anyways. So Tayler,
did you just pronounce epitome as
he's been doing this for like, yes. Okay, good.
No,
I always pronounce it.
This is an intervention. Did you say epitome as epitome?
He's done this.
That's
for
a word,
long
the
time
epitome instead of the epitome.
He's done this for like a year.
I'm going to Google it right now
No,
while Tayler makes his point.
That's how epitome is spelled.
This is a house of learned doctors, and it's clearly epitome.
Look, I mispronounce a lot of words.
I was going to say, Jacob's not allowed to make
lot of
fun
words
Taylor.
here, and epitome.
Me and Justin
All right,
locked eyes, and we're like, what?
Look,
Man, just
to
say
both of your guys' point, Kamiar and Jacob. Mine is the epitome,
So good.
typical
I
Taylor
love it.
situation that I would find myself in. One thing that really
Taylor
stood out
doesn't
to
get as
me-
much shit anymore because he does it all the time.
because it's just my thing,
It's
right?
true,
if I
yeah.
pronounce names right, it's
And he
just
owns it
boring.
too. He owns
Yeah,
it.
right. I own up to it. I know when I
Enos.
mispronounce my names, and I stick
Enos
to it. You know,
Cantor.
like Svi. What did I say I was going to pronounce his last name as? I don't even.
Don't
remember
even try
now.
to pronounce the last name, Taylor. Don't do it.
Well, the issue is I actually know how to pronounce it, and I had a way I was going to mispronounce it, and I forgot it. But anyways, back
It's even
to the
more on
game
brand.
at hand, okay. So the Thunder end up they came out
Intentionally mispronounce this guy's last name to
No,
offend him.
literally. This was the thing. Yeah, I had it ready for my bit.
Gotta take care of the brand.
Exactly.
Gotta take care of the
I had it
brand.
for my bit, and I put it into Slack. Yes, Enos Cantor. Right. I know it's Enos, but I'm going to continue to call him Enos. But anyways, so 46.2% from the field for OKC compared to 49.4% for the Rockets. The Rockets came out kind of struggling. OKC came out hot. And then at halftime, that kind of stabilized. So the stat that really stood out to me the most was the rebounds. The Thunder obviously have Moses Brown. He was the tallest player on the team, but he also is a undrafted rookie on a 2-way contract who just got out of the G League. And even then, even without Al Horford, the Thunder out-rebounded the Houston Rockets 61-43 and 19 offensive rebounds to the Houston Rockets 8. 33 defensive rebounds to the Houston Rockets 30. Defensive rebounds usually is what you see being pretty close. Where you usually see the discrepancy there is in the offensive rebounds. 19-8 for the Thunder. And I think that's just like the perfect epitome, Jacob, of this OKC Thunder team. This OKC Thunder team. I mean, and we can go through the box score of players. You have Poku with 9 rebounds. You have Lou with 3. Obviously, Moses Brown with 14. We mentioned him, but Isaiah Roby with 8. Kenrich Williams Your guys' point was 6. And then Tai Jerome and Svi both with 4 apiece. So it's just a team that hustles, makes the right play. And when they basically just out-hustled the Houston Rockets today, and that's kind of what led to the win.
Yeah, and I felt like Houston came out after halftime and visibly looked more engaged defensively, more aggressive defensively. But then it started to waning. It's like they couldn't keep the attention to detail up for very long, where the Thunder just religiously do that. Taylor, you mentioned 2 guys there I wanted to get everyone's opinion on. Tai Jerome and Svi Mihailuk. Svi really got his most run with the Thunder today. He played against, was it Memphis? Was the last game Memphis? No, Atlanta. I'm sorry. He played against Atlanta, but very spotty minutes. The game before that, when he was technically on the roster, did not play. Really got a lot of burn today. So I want to get I wanted to get your guys' opinions on both Tai and Svi.
Tai Jerome continues to impress me. And I don't know what the hell happened in the G League bubble, but every guy that's come back to that or come back from that has been unbelievable. And not just on the Thunder. I'm totally blanking on who it was, but there was somebody else who came back from the G League bubble and was shooting like 43% from behind the arc since he had come back from the bubble. So I don't know what went on down there. Some performance enhancing drugs potentially. But I think that, Moses Brown, Poku up and down. But Tai Jerome, he's looked really solid, like a very competent NBA player. And when you listen to Virginia fans talk about him, that was kind of the takeaway from his college career, which I think is fascinating. Like when you hear them break down his game, that's exactly it. It's like he does all the smart plays. He takes care of the little things. He's not necessarily the flashiest guy on the court, but he's fundamentally solid. And I think that translates really well to the NBA. You're not trying to throw everybody on a poster. You're not trying to nutmeg somebody. You're just trying to play ball, and you're trying to take care of the ball and make smart plays. And that's what he's done for OKC in pretty much every appearance so far.
Well, and you said, he's not flashy, but I feel like some of the passes he's throwing, he had one today. Was it to Roby where he like at the top of the key and whipped it in there with his left hand?
Yep. I think it was to Roby.
Good vision. Yeah.
Disgusting. Like the kid has got some sauce.
100%.
So Taylor, what's your takeaway from Svi so far?
Talk about a guy who need a change of scenery, right? And I'm not saying
Scenery.
Scenery. There we go. No,
I wish I still had the Steven Adams bang bang sounder on here because I'd play that for you right now. How about this?
I like it like that.
I liked it.
Thank you.
He's working that back.
Gross.
Anyways, way off topic again. He really has impressed me. And again, talk about a guy who needed a change of scenery. I don't know if this is something you can just hang your hat on. We talked about Lu Dort this season early on, having such a great, playing so well, shooting so well from outside. That kind of stabilized as the season went along. But having a guy like that combined with like Justin Jackson, somebody who we haven't even mentioned today, who had a really similar game as Svi, especially from outside. And, even Poku, if he comes into the player that we think he can't be in any of those outside shots. If you're creating spacing like that for Shea, a player like Svi, I think is perfect for him. And so, I was really impressed, but I think the thing that stood out to me the most, like I knew that Svi would probably come here, again, change of scenery. He's excited. He's probably going to hit some outside shots. That's kind of what he's known for. I watched him at KU, but Svi had only 3 assists. It seemed like way more than that because he made some really nice passes, really creative for others, creative for his teammates, and was just a perfect, I don't want to say spark plug necessarily, but fit in really well with that quote unquote second unit today. Maybe he might be the third unit when the team's fully healthy, but all that to say, I really like where he fit with that team. He was doing more than just shooting in the corner or spotting up in the corner and knocking down his threes. I really like what he brought to the table, and I'm excited to kind of see what he can do. Again, kind of rejuvenated, now being in a new situation in OKC, and what can this development coaching squad to, kind of help him with and bring out of him. And hopefully we'll see this be more of a regular, him shooting from outside compared to his last season in Detroit, where he really did kind of struggle. But all that to say, I was really impressed.
He had a pass, I think it was in the fourth quarter, where he drove in and got up in the air at the rim and did like a wraparound lefty pass, kick out all the way to like the elbow to Lou. That was and Lou hit the shot. And I was just like, I did not know he had that in his bag. That's impressive. It's
impressive too for a guy that probably hasn't even taken in a full practice yet.
Yeah.
I know we always talked about that last year with Lou on his 2-way contract, but the same's true for Svi right now. He's so new to the team that he's kind of just out there, like he's playing pickup. He's out there playing. They might have, talked a few high level concepts, but he's not fully in on the playbook. So any play from him right now is purely based off, instinct and basketball IQ, which looks pretty good.
And we're still seeing with the trade for Svi again, Presti starting to go a direction that is more skill-based versus athletic-based players, which I think is an interesting topic, especially as we approach the trade deadline here this week, which we will get in a lot of trade talk here in just a second. Sure. As we transition to the next part of the pod, though, like I mentioned at the top of the show, we are live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. If you are hanging out in the chat right now, keep firing off stuff in that chat. Ask some questions. We have a special segment coming up. We're going to answer all your questions in the chat. So fire those off, get them in there, and we will definitely answer them here shortly. But guys, I felt like today was a perfect chance for the Thunder to, I guess from your perspective, either climb or fall down the rankings, depending on which way you look at the rankings. But to get closer to that top 5 pick, they obviously did not. They got a little bit of help from some other teams today. But I wanted to look at the rest of the schedule. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you guys a rundown. I'm going to tell you the next week of Thunder games, and I want you three to come to a consensus and tell me what the Thunder's record will be that week. And we're going to go week by week through the end of the NBA season, and we're going to see where the Thunder are going to end up and if that record is going to be good enough to raise their odds at a top 5 pick. So here we go. We'll kind of move through this pretty quick. I don't think it'll take us very long, but here we go. Next week, the Thunder have the Timberwolves. I'm not going to tell you home or away either, because I don't really think that matters this season.
Fair.
I mean, that nobody really, the most fans in the arena is like 3,000 right now anyways. So, all right, next week, Timberwolves, the Grizzlies, and the Celtics. What is the Thunder's record next week?
Ooh.
1-2.
I hope so. I hope it's 1-2. It could be 2.
I could see 2-1.
I lean on
Celtics.
I lean on 1-2, maybe even 0-3, depending upon how well Ant Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns are doing.
If Al Horford doesn't play tomorrow, Cat could go off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Cat could go off if Al plays as well. But
right,
you guys going 1-3 or 2-1? Or sorry, 1-2 or 2-1?
I say
1-2.
I say 1-2.
I'll go 1-2 also.
All right, okay. The following week, the Thunder have the Mavericks, the Raptors, the Suns, and the Blazers.
Oh,
1-3.
0-4.
Yeah, it should be 0-4, but there's going to be one team that rests their players because it's the Thunder, and they're going to overperform. So 1-3.
It's difficult because, like I say, 0-4, barring the Suns deciding to sit Chris Paul.
Right, exactly.
And it's Chris Paul. It's Chris Paul, and now it's just Devin Booker and the same old Suns with DeAndre Ayton. And that might be a night that OKC sits Al Horford against Ayton. So 0-4, 1-3. We going 1-3.
I say 1-3. You also have to factor in it's after the trade deadline.
Ooh.
So
good point.
What roster even comes out against the Mavericks?
Yeah.
Who knows?
That makes this a little bit difficult, but yeah. So
I'm
putting down 1-3 for you guys.
A roster of second-round picks is going to be great.
I have a question about that here in a second. Okay, the next week, Utah, Golden State, Detroit.
Golden State. Oh,
2-1.
I'm going to go 2-1. Yeah.
Steph is empty right now.
Even post deadline. Yeah. 2-1.
2-1. Got it. The next week is a busy week. Toronto, Washington, Indiana, Washington again.
Ooh.
Again, Toronto, Washington, Indiana,
Ooh.
and Washington.
2-2?
2-2? 2-2,
2-2 feels likely, just based off
gotta
how
ask.
this team has played.
Do you guys think they split the Washington series?
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but last season, every time the Thunder played the Rockets, Russell Westbrook intentionally tried to post Shea on every possession, just backed him under the rim. I'm interested to see that this year, to see if
might not work out well for him.
If Shea has put on some bulk and can fight back a little bit there. That'll be fun.
Absolutely.
Right.
Or if he tries to step it up.
I got you guys at 2-2 for that week. The next week, Philly, Boston, New Orleans, Indiana.
Philly, Boston. Ooh.
New Orleans, Indiana.
1-3.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so unlikely that Thunder would drop all of those. So I say 1-3 as well.
Well,
Tommy, are you on board with that?
I mean, since we have to negotiate, I say 1-3.
You want to say 0-4?
I'd say 0-4 because I don't know what New Orleans is going to get back for Lonzo.
The
The
context
week,
here,
rumors.
The context here is that Kamiar would say 0-4 when this team had Russ and PG, and he's been saying 0-4 for years since we started this podcast.
It's true, and they won't do it.
I was going to say
They won't ever
bastards.
do it.
Now we want them to do it, and they still won't do it. The next week, Phoenix, Sacramento, Golden State, Golden State.
I like 2-2 there.
I lean 1-3.
Whoa, wow, really? 1-3?
Oh, call me. Are you the deciding
Comer's
factor
like, I'm
here?
going 3-1.
I was thinking, man, they could really rip off a 3-1. I'm gonna go 2-2.
All right, we'll take the 2-2 here. There is 1 week and then an extra game left, so I'm just gonna put all this together. Sacramento, Utah, Clippers.
Ooh.
Yikes.
2-2 for me. The Clips are going to be resting everybody. You win one of the
That's a
Sacramento
good point.
games. You win one of the
point.
Sacramento
I like
games.
2-2.
The Clips are going to be resting.
Yeah,
unless
counterpoint to the Clips resting. What if Sacramento was pushing for that 10 or 9 seed for the play-in and go really hard?
still 2-2 for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair. That's a
Very
5-game
good.
stretch.
Line.
5-game stretch where you play the Kings 3 times and the Warriors twice.
Kings.
That's fun.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
You guys
So
keep
what-
talking. I'm trying to do math in my head.
Do the
It's
math.
not going
Do the
well.
math.
Did
You
we
skipped a
find?
week.
Did we find
I
the
would-
missed week?
I would like to call out you skipped a week at the very beginning.
That's
Did
true.
I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
April, the beginning of
5th through
April.
10th.
Pistons, Hornets, Cavs,
Oh,
Sixers.
My bad. I overlooked it.
Ooh.
All right. Pistons,
Hornets.
Hornets, who are now without LaMelo Ball. Cleveland,
Which
Philly.
is rough.
Detroit, Charlotte, Cleveland, Philly. What do you guys got? No wonder my numbers didn't match up.
3-1.
Right. That's why this week caught my eye. Is like, ooh, what?
That's a rough week.
My bad.
Man,
I think it could be 3-1.
Mm.
it
I'm
should
gonna say
be,
2-2.
It should be 3-1, but I feel like it'll be 2-2. It'll be 2-2. I think
mean,
the Hornets
a
are still going to
good
play
point.
pretty well. I mean, Gordon Hayward is like old Gordon Hayward again, which is really nice for them. So I'll go 2-2.
Also, I promised you guys that Shea has not been so much banged up since post All-Star break as he has been where the Thunder have rested him so often here. I guess, what is that? This was the second game now post All-Star break.
Yep.
There could be some games in this stretch that we haven't
Yep.
mentioned where Shea could be quote unquote resting, whether he likes it or not, if we're being completely honest and
Yep.
blunt. And so I think that's fair, Kamiar.
Okay. Well, based on what you guys have said, the Thunder will end the rest of the season going 13-17, which if they have 18 wins right now, that will put them at 31 and 41.
I think that's pretty fair. So we're there at
So then the question is,
Gosh.
does that land them a top 5 pick?
Nope.
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 It might land you a top 8 pick.
So
top 9 pick.
I mean, obviously there's a lottery. You could end up at number 1, right?
Yeah,
Like it's not
true.
the lottery's not kind to you there. You could get there, but I guess I'm asking like where do they end up as far as record wise? That's definitely top 10. I don't think they're making the play-in, right? We're all kind of in agreement there.
Agree.
Yes, I agree.
I think Presley will like literally make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we saw today.
No, I'm with you guys. I mean, the whole point of this process here was, can the Thunder get there? And I think they probably end with like the 8th or the 9th best odds in the lottery, which is not really where you want to be as this team, because that is that mediocrity that we've talked about, right? You're not good enough to make the playoffs, but you're not bad enough to get one of those top 5 picks who's a franchise-changing guy. You're just kind of stuck. And yes, that Rockets pick could convey, right? It could drop to number 5. Hopefully that coin flip goes your way. But the only pick you can control is your own. And I mean, was it cool to see Lou Dort block that John Wall layup today? Yeah, that was pretty badass for about 5 minutes. And then I thought, man, how pissed off am I going to be about that in late July whenever the draft
I was
comes
thinking
out?
this, I had the same thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's exactly what Tyler Parker, our guest from last week, summed up. Those moments are fun, but come the draft lottery, who knows? Now, the flip side of this is you could be like the Knicks, who are always, it seems like, lined up for the worst odds, or the best odds, I guess, the worst record, and they consistently get like the 5th pick. And that would just be devastating. So at the end of the day, like I do take some solace as a fan in that Lou Dort's block doesn't have a direct effect. Yes, it affects the odds, but like at the end of the day, it's the way the ping pong ball bounces. And you could be New Orleans and land Zion, or you could be the Knicks and continually not get a top pick.
Didn't New Orleans have like the 9th best odds to get that first pick?
Exactly.
And they got it.
Yep.
I think 9th best gives you like a 4% chance at the number 1, 4 or 5%.
Nobody ever knows what happens until those balls come out.
I was thinking today though,
I love
just
waiting
like
for the balls to come out.
Especially watching Silas, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, like watching him in his post game, and just the way the Houston organization is right now, the way these past couple of teams have been for them, it would be the most Houston thing ever to like have one of the worst records in the league and still end up conveying their pick to OKC, where OKC has 2 top 10 picks, even if it's not top 4.
You'd have to
with all their assets, and you combine all of that, and you're able to get up into a top 3. I mean, there's not. I think when you have a Cade Cunningham, right, in the same situation where you had a Zion for New Orleans, I'm not sure there's a lot that you could trade to change a team's mind to trade you that pick so you can draft that player, because essentially you're trading all these assets for Cade Cunningham or Jalen Suggs or Jim Green.
And the reason teams try to get a number 1 pick is to get a guy like Cade, so you're not going to trade away the opportunity. But can you imagine if Houston ends up with the worst record in the league and the pick doesn't convey, and after all the stuff with the Texans and then James Harden leaving, like everyone in Houston would be on suicide watch. It would be
Oh
awful.
my God.
It would be
It's not wrong.
Chill. Hey, but so consider this. If you're OKC and let's say you get pick number 9, and right now in a lot of mock drafts, you have who is it from Stanford? Zaire Williams, who's a 2-3. He's 6'8", and that's the guy that's being projected as the number 9 pick. If you get that number 9 pick, but also that Miami Heat pick ends up being like what?
12?
No, they're going to they're making the playoffs.
17, 18.
So what would we get? 9, 17, 18. Are you picking both players, or are you packaging both to move up to like 5 or 6 to get like a guy like Scotty Barnes, or get a guy that's like a Kuminga maybe?
I think it's a no-brainer for OKC. You're going to try and move up. I think the biggest thing is kind of something I alluded to earlier when I was talking about the Thunder and their picks. Like, do those teams who are picking at 5 or 6, to your point, Kamiar, like, do they want to trade that pick that Jalen or whoever it may be who falls out of the top 5? Do they Scotty Barnes or either of those Tennessee guys or whoever it ends up being? Do they want to trade that for 2 picks later on in the draft?
I don't think 9 and 17 gets you to 5, but 9 and 17 and
next year's
future draft asset could get you there. And I think that's where it gets really interesting for the Thunder, is because of that future stockpile.
Right.
They have so much to work with that, I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how the draft prospect consensus shakes out as we get closer to the draft. I think some of those pictures get a little clearer, but I think that in theory, with the exemption of, probably the top few picks, at least, the Thunder should have the assets to go get whatever pick they want. They just have to name the right price, right?
Matt Clarkson's in the chat that says those top 5 picks aren't for sale, but everybody has a price unless you're Danny Ainge. So right. I disagree with that.
But I do think he has a point of, like, the higher up you are, especially in this draft where it seems like there's, kind of a handful of guys that are like a head and shoulder above the rest. I think this one might be tougher, but I mean, for I don't know what the right price is, like 9 and 17 and 2 future firsts to get you to 5.
To where 5?
Like, yeah.
Maybe.
Look who's drafting in the top 5 consistently. They're bad front offices with bad GMs that make bad decisions.
Make bad trades. That's fair. That's a fair point.
Like, am I crazy right now? That's why they're constantly always there. Because they make horrifying decisions. Like, Vlade Divac didn't even know you had to call the league office to make a trade. He's just like, just get that guy on a train. Vlade Divac probably would send him on a train. And it's just like, come on, man.
It's a bicycle.
I put the train call through.
Yeah.
Why is he not on train?
God. This man probably, I don't even know.
I wish Svi would talk like that, being from Ukraine.
Dude.
That would make him so much more appealing as a basketball player.
Yes.
So, well, speaking of trying to tank, trying to get top draft picks, et cetera, let's talk trade deadline, because that's coming up in 4 days now.
Yes.
A couple of notes recently
wait.
have come out about the Oklahoma City Thunder and the trade deadline. Excuse me. The first one coming on the Woj pod with Tim Bontemps. Adrian said, and I quote, because I played the podcast and paused it like every 3 seconds to get the direct quote. It was, I feel bad, and I do not envy people that have to transcribe like coaches talking and go back, and it's awful. It sounds awful. He said, quote, Oklahoma City has a number of guys who they are going to be able to either now or after the season move on from. George Hill, Kenrich Williams, Mike Muscala, Justin Jackson. I know they're getting calls on all of those guys. The Thunder have been obviously active with the Trevor Ariza deal, and I think they are probably going to move at least one of those guys within the next week. A day or two after that, Mark Stein was on the Locker Room app calling people up and having them ask him different questions. So I got on with Mark and asked him, hey, we know guys like Hill and Muscala are readily available in trades and probably going to get moved. What about Al Horford? And Stein responded to me and said, well, a lot of front offices are asking about Al Horford, but his contract is big and it's hard to trade. He also has value for OKC for meeting the salary floor next season. Point. So 5 guys mentioned there in George Hill, Kenrich Williams, Mike Muscala, Justin Jackson, Al Horford. My question for you guys is, what is your predictions for Thunder trades coming up in this next 4 or 5 days? By the time we get to Thursday at 2 p.m., what do you think the Thunder have happen? Like, what do they trade? What goes down? And I did a locker room hangout. I haven't dropped it as a pod episode. I don't know if I will, but I did a locker room hangout on Saturday, and a non-Thunder fan asked me a really fun question. He said the Thunder have between first and second round picks, 35 total selections over the next 7 years.
Goodness.
By this Thursday evening, will it be at 40?
Oh my gosh, that's a great over-under. I love that. I need that to
So
like be
what do
on
you guys
like Bet Online.
what do you guys project to happen? And will the Thunder make it to 40 future draft picks?
I don't
Oh,
know
I
if they'll
love
get
that.
40. I don't know if they'll get 40 future draft picks, even though that would be really fun for the future and not for my immediate satisfaction. So that's fun. I can go buy jerseys that say draft picks on them. But no, I think OKC's only gonna trade away 2 guys, and I think 2 of them being George Hill. I think that's the guy everybody's been talking about that needs a point guard, and Mike Muscala. It's an easy contract. He's been racking up a ton of DNPs despite playing really, really well for this OKC team.
On both sides of the floor.
Yes, yeah, and Al Horford, I think his contract is too awkward. Somebody is getting excited in the background. So one of your guys,
Brody loves him, so Mike Muscala.
And that's your dog. Okay,
It was
so
Brody.
I think I think it's only those 2. I don't think Justin Jackson gets moved. I don't see Kenrich Williams getting moved. Just those 2 dudes. Muscala will probably net you a 2nd rounder, and then George Hill will probably. I don't know if you get junk back for him, but I'm sure they'll want a 1st rounder for him. So you might get to 37. But I don't know.
That was what my number. My answer to that question was like probably 37 or 38. So, Justin, what do you think happens with the Thunder at the deadline? Make some predictions. Fire some stuff off.
Fire. I think I'm in a similar camp to Kamiar. George Hill makes a ton of sense. I think getting him to a team that needs a point guard, which there is a lot of, and Hill is a proven valuable asset. A team that's going to try to push for the playoffs will be very interested in George Hill. I also think Mike Muscala, he's shown that he can affect ball games, not necessarily go out and win you a game single-handedly, but he's a positive asset when he's on the court, which is why the Thunder aren't playing him. And I think that I think all the DMPs just make me feel like they're looking to move him. And so that makes a ton of sense. However, I do wonder if Justin Jackson or Kenny Hustle could be on the block as well, just for, I don't know, like just for the sake of moving one of those guys off the team. There's a part of me, I hesitate to say Kenrich Williams, like you trade him and you cut out some of that hustle DNA that I think really keeps the Thunder in games. We saw it today.
That's why you trade him.
But
if we're being honest.
Like, this guy plays too goddamn hard. Get him out of here.
I think there's something to keeping him around a team that's
absolutely
not gonna win a lot of games. Like, so to use the example, when people talk about tanking, their fear is you're going to build a losing culture, and these guys aren't going to know how to win. And I think what we've seen, albeit, the Thunder have not lost enough games to be full on tanking, but the Thunder's culture has stayed intact. Compare that to Houston. Compare that to Silas's press conference. That's a losing culture. And I think Kenny Hustle goes a long way in helping that culture. You can go out and lose a lot of games and bust your butt, which is what Kenny Hustle's going to do. So that's why I hesitate on him a little bit, but you trade him, you lose more games. I do think that comes through.
And a side note on George Hill is that George Hill still has another year on his contract. And if Presti does not get what he thinks he deserves for George Hill, I imagine, is more than happy taking that expiring contract into next year and just like doing the same thing all over again.
Presti is using that leverage.
They're going to be teams that need good veteran, defensive-minded, that can play off the ball point guards for any NBA title. And so there are a lot of teams, I imagine, that would want his services now, and they're going to be the same amount of teams that are going to want his services next year, even more, considering it's an expiring deal and he can help you win playoff games.
I agree. You guys have any more Thunder trade thoughts?
The
deadline approaches.
Darius Miller is a guy that I just keep forgetting about, just like Trevor Ariza.
It's his birthday. You can't forget him on his birthday.
I've been forgetting a lot about Darius Miller this season. Sorry, Darius. I hope you have a great birthday. As well as Myers Leonard. Those are 2 contracts. Obviously, Myers Leonard is one who will probably be waived if he's not traded. But with that being said, those are 2 contracts that you can throw out there, whether it be in 3-team trades, whether it be take long-term money back in return in exchange for future draft assets. Like Jacob mentioned, that over-under of 30 draft picks moving forward here in the next however many years. So those are two contracts I'm really keeping an eye on. I think they're kind of sleepers, as well as Kenrich Williams, just because as much as I love Kenrich and as great of a player as he is and somebody who you can keep around a culture, a winning culture, once you do draft the right players around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and start to build a team around him. Kenrich is one of those guys you would want around him, but I think his value is very high right now on such a cheap, controllable contract. I think there's a lot of contenders who would be willing to give up quite a bit for Kenrich. And speaking of leverage, Kamiar, like you mentioned earlier, I think Presley would have a lot of leverage in a Kenrich Williams trade. So those are the three that I'm kind of looking at right there, those three contracts.
No, it's good stuff. Also, speaking of the trade deadline, make sure that you guys join us. We don't know which of us will be on and how often we'll be on, but well, not how often, just like how present Tayler will be specifically.
Yeah,
but
I might be on my AirPods in like a conference room, but it's fine.
The trade deadline officially expires Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time. So we are going live right here Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time to hang out with you guys the hour leading up to the deadline. We'll talk about all the trades that have been made throughout the day, and all the rumors and the Woj bombs and the Sham bombs and the Stein bombs that drop in that final hour leading up to the deadline. It should be a lot of fun. So make plans, even if you're at work and you got stuff to do. Pop on YouTube or Twitter, throw in your headphones and listen to us as we carry you through the final hour of the trade deadline. It should be a blast, and we're really looking forward to it.
Hopefully the Thunder will be active up till the end. Hopefully we're not like, Thunder made 4 trades and it's Wednesday.
Maybe. Well, okay, guys, let's move on to the best segment of the show. Maybe the best segment. Definitely the best sounder. We got to go to the tank meter.
Loser! You're a loser! And that means that the number 1 pick in the NBA draft goes to
Justin. Where does the tank meter fall for our listeners? If it's full, the Thunder are fully tanking. If it is empty, they are trying to make the playoffs. Where is the meter at currently?
So I told a little story last Sunday for my tank meter update.
Are we going to keep the theme?
I'm going to keep the theme. So Sam Presti, he just pulled into Love's.
For the second time,
He got the hole in his gas tank fixed. He got that sorted out. But he's going to top it off again. And he's looking over and he's just, he can't stop staring at the sign out front. It's just so yellow and so big. He
so
literally
bright.
cannot stop staring at it. And while his back is turned, LUGUENTZ DORT steals his car and just drives it off. So it may have a full tank of gas, but he can't find the car anymore. And so all that to say, I think they are trying their hardest to go full on tank, and whether it's LUGUENTZ DORT or Justin Jackson or whoever, it's not happening. And I think that was exactly what we saw today. So if I have to give my meter rating, I'm going to say again, probably 3/4 full, closer to half, maybe, just because they're they're finding themselves in too many winning situations, which is a weird thing to say.
It's very clear, I think, that the organizational, the front office, like you mentioned, is trying to get that gas tank all the way full. And then the coaching staff and the players are, again, siphoning gas out of the tank, right?
The shift post All-Star has been super fascinating to me.
Yes.
It was always kind of okay, we're flirting with this thing. But since All-Star, it's been very blatant, not just from who's sitting out, but like you said at the top of the podcast, Jacob, having Poku in an in-game situation. There's no logical reason for that.
He shot the free throws. That basketball game. Right. You have Kenrich Williams in that game instead of Poku.
And you said, "Come here." He shot the free throws. My dad was over watching the game with me, and he said, who's a good free throw shooter on the court? And they passed to Poku, and he said, well, he's pretty good, isn't he? And I was like, he shot like 6 free throws the whole goddamn season. We don't know if he's good or
only
not.
made like 2 of them.
And then he split them. So it was funny. Kamiar, where do you put the tank meter at?
You know what's interesting? Because I spent most of the time on the tank meter saying, oh, it's about 2/3 full. So, like, 6.66, whatever, 0.666.
Yeah, you devil worshiper.
No. No. And now I spend most of my time thinking like, man, dude, I'd put this like on a 4, maybe like even like on the later cusps of a 3, because the front office, it's pretty clear, and the coaching staff, it's pretty clear that they're getting their direction from the front office, want this thing to lose. You tried so hard against a Houston team that has actually a lot better players than you, but for some reason, it didn't work. And and especially with the second half of the season, with like a lot easier teams that Oklahoma City is about to experience, like I'm putting this thing at like a 3 and a 4. Dude, the tank's like, it's over. They're not going to compete for playoff contention. No, that's not what they're going to be doing. But they're going to end up getting a pick from like 8 to 12, and that's not what you want at all. But hey, here we are.
Yep. Yeah, I've got the tank at a fourth of a tank of gas left, right? Like you can probably go a couple of days where you have to go to the gas station and fill up. The Thunder went 2-2 this past week, if you're including last Sunday. And to your guys' point, like you guys have all mentioned, you're setting a lot of guys who probably could have played in some of these games, and they won 2 of them regardless. So I'm going about a fourth of a tank, and I think what's going to be really telling is the Thunder. We haven't even mentioned this yet. The Thunder have a back-to-back tomorrow night, Monday, against Minnesota Timberwolves, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes. And so it's going to be super interesting to see how this plays out, right? Like Roby kind of got dinged up twice. He got a finger caught in the net. A jam finger kind of thing. He comes back with it taped up. He's okay. Then he takes a hard fall again later on in the fourth. Yeah, right, exactly. So will Roby play? Will Dort play? Does somebody in the chat? I'm trying to remember who it was. Might have been Sean. Like, does Dort play? Does Shea go ahead and play? Right. So all that to say, it's going to be super interesting to see how the Thunder treat this next game tomorrow night, and who they end up playing, how many players they have available. It'll be very telling.
Silver just said Dort is resting tomorrow.
Oh,
I thought they said I bet Dort is resting tomorrow.
Oh, he said he is. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw. I saw a bet. I said Sean. It was Silver. That's what I was.
But congrats to Dort. Dort get like 22 today.
23.
23. Don't
Nice,
shortchange
man.
my man.
Kamiar 23.
It's that
And a
conversion
game-winning
rate
block.
from Canada to US. That's what it is.
I love it so much.
Here's my
right.
Justin has been doing the tank stories. Here's my tank analogy. Right? Sam Presti is spending thousands of dollars on gas trying to keep that tank as full as it can. But Daignault drives a Hummer. It gets like 2 miles to the gallon, and he's just burning through it, and the meter is dropping and dropping and dropping, and he can't put enough gas into it to keep it fueled up because Mark Daignault is revving the engine and just burning through the fuel like he doesn't care.
He's burning the midnight oil.
All right. Well,
Daignault has done a fantastic job this season. I hope he gets not recognition in terms of like coach. Something ridiculous like Coach of the Year, but I hope he gets some recognition league-wide because he's done a fantastic job.
He has been very, very good. Yes.
All
right, Tayler, take us on a trip through the comments section. What questions do we have in the chat?
Okay, so a lot of comments. I have to find the actual questions.
You can pull up some of the comments.
Here we go. We got one. Fair. So here's one. Nate Sanders. What is Kenny Hustle's trade value? Him leaving also adds value because he's too much of a winner.
I'm tired of having winners on this team.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Justin, what's his trade value? A second round pick?
Yeah, I don't know in terms of like actual valuable assets for the Thunder. Probably, I think it's a second round pick. Get some, hopefully, garbage player to go with it.
Is Kenrich on a minimum? because I think you can trade a minimum to another team and they don't have to send anything
Just
back.
for a pick? Oh, okay. Well, in that case, then just the pick.
I'm going to look
know.
that up to see what his contract is while you talk.
I think it's like 2 years minimum. Maybe making
that feels right. That feels right. I think that, I think the second half of your comment is dead on, Nate. Exactly like what we talked about earlier of like he's too much of a winner. I think it'll be interesting to see again if he gets traded or if that DNA, that culture aspect is enough to keep him on this team despite the efforts to tank.
Fair.
Kenrich Williams is on a 3-year, $6 million deal. I do not believe it is a vet minimum.
Okay, but I think he has 2 years left, right?
After this season, because he had to sign a contract. He had to sign a contract this offseason.
Right.
Good.
So the New Orleans could salary match in the Adams trade.
That's amazing. That holds a lot of value right there. Like genuinely holds a lot of value. That's pretty awesome.
Any other questions in the chat, Taylor?
We do. Right above that, we have Colin Reed. What's more likely? Al Horford is traded or the Thunder have a winning record over the next 2 weeks? A great question here. Have another one right above it, by the way.
That is a really good one. Kamiar, what do you think?
Al Horford gets traded. There's no way OKC has a winning record over the next 2 weeks. There's no way. You mean the Grizz, the Celtics, the Mavs, the Raps, the Suns, the Blazers. There's no way having a winning record, so you'd have to go with Al Horford being traded.
I like it. Fingers crossed. I hope that happens.
About like 3 more. We'll fire through these. Nate again, our guy Nate Sanders. How many additional first rounders would it take to get from a pick that is 7 to 9 to 3 to 5? Kind of like we were talking about earlier.
Ooh. My number here is, let's say the Thunder have pick 8 and they want to get to pick 4. I think it's going to take 8 plus 3 future firsts. That's where I put my number at 3.
I think that, I think that feels right just given the talent level at the top of this draft.
Mm-hmm.
What player would you have to throw into that? Because I don't think you're just getting picks back. I think they want a player back in return. And
that is possible.
Would you be willing to give up Dort?
It'd be a Baisley or a Dort. You're right.
What about
they don't want Baisley? It's a Dort.
Baisley's value has to be in the toilet right now.
I mean, look at Dort's contract.
I wouldn't give up Dort in like 3 future firsts.
Let's say it's Dort 8 and a future first to get 4.
Dort 8 and a future first, yeah. Man.
I
don't know.
You got to do that because what you're getting at 4 is going to be better than Lou Dort.
Okay.
And you have maybe 40 freaking picks over the next 7 years. You can find another Lou Dort.
So if you go Cunningham 1, Mobley 2, and then
Suggs 3, maybe
Suggs 3, and then Kuminga or Green is your choice. Yeah.
You get a choice of the Ignite kids.
Oh, that's great. Okay, that's
I
fair.
think
that's so
emotionally
tough,
I want to say no because it's
I know.
goddamn LUGUENTZ DORT,
would be devastated. Yep.
But
fair.
It makes sense.
Maybe you could get away with like restructuring or guaranteeing Kenrich Williams' deal more because like they're team options. They're not guaranteed. Maybe you can guarantee those years of $2 million and just like ship him and somebody off because
fair.
I don't know. They have so many guys on expirings. Did you know TJ Leaf is still being paid by OKC? $4.5 million, by the way.
I wish I could get told to not come to work for $4.5 million.
Go sit on your butt and we'll pay you $4.5 million.
Admiral Schofield is getting paid $1.5 million this year to not play, and then $300,000 next year also guaranteed to not play.
I forgot about Admiral. Remember when we did the Spider-Man pointing at each other memes?
Yes.
With Admiral and
I
Lou?
thought Admiral was going to be better than Kenrich. I thought he was going to be better than...
By the way, Patrick Patterson is getting $750,000 being paid to him by the Thunder, not only this year, but next year too.
The corpse of Patrick Patterson, that guy.
Shout Kyle.
Lots of dudes on that.
I would rather have a cardboard cutout of Patrick Patterson on the court than actual Patrick Patterson on the court.
No, never mind.
The cardboard cutout can't miss threes and foul people. God, Pat, what a horrible God. I was so excited when they signed Pat. And then immediately, God damn. All right. Well, Let's move on, guys. It is time to take a trip around the association, and we got a fun one today too. Here we go.
I don't even know where you're sitting at.
Gentlemen, let's continue the trade theme. We're going to play a game. I was going to cue up the song, but I didn't, so sorry. We're going to call it Should I Stay or Should I Go? I have a list of 6 NBA players here who have been mentioned in trade rumors. I'm going to ask one of you, should this player stay or go, or will they stay or go? You're going to tell me, are they getting traded by the deadline on Thursday, or will they stay with their respective team? We're going to start with Kamiar. Kamiar, Aaron Gordon, staying or going?
Oh, this man's leaving. He's out of town yesterday. No, he doesn't want to be in Orlando. They don't want him there. I think he ends up it would be fun to see him in Boston. But I don't know where he goes, but he is definitely gone.
Nice. So you've encouraged me. I'm now adding another layer to the game. If they are going, you have to tell me what team they're going to. Kamiar has.
It's kind of not fair.
Hey, KOC has some interesting tidbits on Aaron Gordon.
Yes, he
we
does.
have the Blazers. Do you have this? This is off the top of my head, Jacob.
I don't have it pulled up.
Okay, I
Blazers,
don't
Golden State,
a
couple others.
Was the Mavericks and
maybe.
Houston. Houston was the one that really stood out to me because if they trade for Aaron Gordon, that's going to help out that pick a little bit for OKC to make sure it conveys.
There you go. Well, Kamiar has Aaron Gordon heading to the Boston Celtics. I like it. Justin, you are next up. Atlanta's own, the Baptist, John Collins.
The Baptist.
That's one of his nicknames on Basketball
Reference.
Yeah,
that's a thing. That's definitely a thing. I was just laughing because it's a good nickname.
I like it. I think Collins is tough. There's been reports that he's had lots of interest. Lots of people want John Collins, but are lots of people going to pony up for John Collins is the question. He's not cheap. Isn't he up for a new contract soon?
Yes, he will be a restricted free agent this summer.
Yeah. So the Hawks want one young player and a first-round draft pick to make a deal, or a package of similar value, such as multiple first-round picks. And that's from KOC's article that he dropped a little earlier today. Pretty steep.
God, that's tough. Like we briefly talked about this. Like, if you're the Thunder, do you entertain that offer?
Right.
He's 23.
I don't think
Jacob
so.
Says no.
Do you want to pay him $100 million in 3 months?
Right.
I don't think Sam Presti does.
And I don't know what teams out there do. And I think that's the hindrance. And that is, I think, why I'm leaning stay. Just because I don't know who's ready to pay John Collins that money.
The Kings would. The Kings would.
The Kings would.
And the Timberwolves. That's the one team that I can see pulling the trigger. But I'm with you, Justin. I don't know if it happens.
We're noticing teams that usually make bad decisions consistently still make bad decisions. Isn't that a weird thing?
Who would have thunk it?
I do think I think he ends up staying. I think he goes to restricted free agency, and then somebody way overpays him this summer.
There's a massive offer sheet. All right, Tayler, you're next up.
Oh boy,
is he staying or going? Kyle Lowry.
Yes. Now we are talking. Give me go. Again, KOC all over this one. So I kind of had a little bit of a cheat sheet going into this, even though I didn't know I was going to get Kyle Lowry. The Heat are taking swings, says KOC. League sources say the Heat are pursuing a deal for Raptors point guard Kyle Lowry harder than anyone, though the Clippers and Sixers remain interested. He goes on to mention Lowry's relationship with Butler. Man, I really feel like when push comes to shove at the deadline, one of these teams is going to make the Raptors an offer they can't necessarily turn down. I'm going to go ahead and say it's the Heat. I really do, especially with Giannis being off the table now in free agency. Depot, I mean, if we're being completely honest right now, based off past performance and how they looked this season, I'm probably trading for Kyle Lowry over Victor Oladipo at this point. If we're just being completely honest, I think the Heat are going to do it. I think they're going to go for it. So that is my prediction. I'm saying he's going one way or the other.
I forget who I was listening to, but someone said in order to get Lowry, it's going to take the Miami Heat like salary matching plus Tyler Hero plus probably a pick.
Tyler Hero or Duncan. I think they'll settle though. I think we'll get like a Duncan Robinson plus a pick.
See, I don't think Toronto will settle. I think Toronto is going to be pretty firm, and we get what we want, or he can stay around. He wants to retire a Raptor. So, Kamiar, we're back to you.
Give him Lonzo, Jacob. Give him a hard one.
Speaking of, you get Victor Oladipo of the Houston Rockets.
Nice. Man, what a journey this guy has had. I mean, like, holy hell. I mean, I don't even remember the first team. The Pacers, right? That was the first team he was ever on.
No, it was the Mavericks. Or sorry, the Mavericks.
Magic.
The Magic.
The Magic. That's what it was.
By the Magic, yeah.
The Magic. And then he went to OKC. Then he went to the Pacers.
Then went to Pacers.
Just because it's the Hoosier thing messing with my brain.
Indiana, call it. Yep.
He's been in some really successful situations. I mean, he thought he was going to compete for a title with OKC, and then Kevin Durant. That whole thing went down the tubes. He had a pretty good year at a good time. Indiana, they did really well. Actually, they overachieved from what I thought. And then his career started to take like this weird trajectory, and of course he got hurt. He was an all-star, but he got hurt, and now he's in Houston, man. And like, I feel like if he goes to a team that again has a good culture of keeping guys accountable, because Oladipo's a hard worker. You can tell he's just not vibing with what Houston has. And
Agreed.
Houston is toxic, guys. They are like the most toxic team probably in the NBA right now. Like, I'm not saying most, what I would say, I wouldn't say they're the dumbest or the most kind of like, I don't know what word I'm looking for.
Most incompetent?
Incompetent, dysfunctional team in the NBA, but they're definitely the most toxic one. And I think he's in a really awful situation right now. And if he were to go to, let's say, somewhere like Detroit, which is like, I don't know, not that much better, but they're trying to win, that'd be good for him or better for him. But realistically, I think he's going to go, which would be really weird. That's like, what, 3 teams in how many months? Yeah. But I really think he could make a push and really do some good things for a team trying to make the playoffs or trying to get over the hump while they're in the playoffs. Because, I mean, you look at the East and the Sixers in the net. Well, now the Nets like haven't lost games in like years now, apparently. And the Sixers are still up there.
Griffin's
and the Sixers are still up there. And then there's a large drop off. And I think he could really, I think he'll make that gap a little bit smaller for some team in the East. Now in the West, dude, he's not going to push much buttons if he's in the West. But regardless of all that, he's going. You can tell he doesn't want to be there. Houston, he doesn't want to be there. He's basically walking around on defense, just playing AAU on offense. And he's gone. He's gone.
Nice. My sleeper Victor Oladipo team, Golden State Warriors. I think that could be a lot of fun.
You think that puts them over the hump for OKC to get that pick?
Oh yes.
Yeah. I think he would thrive in that culture.
The goal is to sell him on the culture, get him to re-sign, and have Vic, Steph, and
Clay.
hopefully a healthy Clay.
Justin, second to last one. I'm giving you Lonzo Ball.
Oh, why would you do that?
Maybe
I've been prepping on Harrison Barnes, you jerk.
The old switcheroo. I can give you Harrison. Do you want Harrison?
I'll take Lonzo.
Okay.
Harrison's the easy one because Rana Dive just said so.
Exactly. Thank you, Kamiar. I was ready for this one.
All right, you can have Harrison.
Okay, thank you. So Harrison Barnes should be traded. The Kings should blow it up. But like we've talked about multiple times on this episode already, the Kings are just stuck. They're stuck. They've been stuck for a decade. And their GM recently came out. Well, he didn't come out and say, but it was reported. I think it was Howard Beck reported that he doesn't want to tank. So he's reluctant to trade guys like Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes, who are 28 years old and have no business being a part of the Sacramento Kings future, but he doesn't want to. And so he's only going to do it if they get a really high offer, which they're not going to. And so for that reason, Harrison Barnes is going to stay in Sacramento, though he should absolutely trade them. And they should absolutely stop trying to be competitive because they're in 13th place, I think. Like they're not at best they make the play in. Like, is that where you want to be? The answer is no. The answer is no, Vivek.
Justin, so you're telling me the Kangs are going to Kangs?
The Kangs are going to Kangs once again.
Will Kangs.
I love it. All right. Tayler, you get the last one. One Lonzo Ball. The Pelicans pulled out a win today in Denver. They're still in contention for the play-in.
And guess who didn't play, Jacob? Guess who didn't play?
Yeah, Lonzo did not play. So what are your thoughts?
According to the article I just read, I mean, again, Kevin O'Connor gave me a cheat sheet before this podcast. It was beautiful. We've got Chicago and we've got Atlanta looking at it. Now, granted, Mark Stein
Taylor, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Taylor's totally, well, according to the article I just read, the COVID vaccine's going to turn me into an alligator. So, therefore, all right. Sorry, go ahead.
Kevin O'Connor.
I had my first shot here, or what was it, like a week or two ago, and I'm already shooting laser beams on my eyes. So,
that's pretty nice.
I'll be flying here before no time.
All I did was shit my pants.
Now. So, Mark Stein, I mentioned KOC, but Mark Stein also mentioned the Clippers as a destination. But as we mentioned with the whole George Hill rumors, like, there's only so much that the Clippers can give up. It's going to have to be a 3-team trade. And so in terms of Lonzo, like the Bulls make a lot of sense. He's been linked to them for a long time. He'd be a lot of fun against guys like Zach LaVine, Kobe White. I mean, I feel like he fit in well. And then you also have the Atlanta Hawks, which is super interesting. Now, KOC mentioned Bogdanovich as somebody who could be on the move, which is just hilarious after the whole debacle that was the whole Milwaukee Bucks situation. But I still think, oh man, you guys have me distracted now. But all that being said, I think Chicago Bulls and Atlanta Hawks are super fun destinations. You have LeVar coming out of the woodworks, right? And that's on purpose. He knows these talks are going on. Lonzo's agent is reaching out to LeVar saying, hey, I need you to go on to this radio show or go on to something. I need you to say something. And so I think that's kind of where we're at with.
If I was Lonzo's agent,
exactly.
The last thing that would come out of my mouth would be, hey, LeVar, say something. That seems like
working. And it's working.
I do like the Chicago Bulls fit a lot.
I do too.
Also, keep in mind, Chicago has a new front office that was not responsible for drafting guys like Wendell Carter Jr. and Kobe White and are not attached to those players. So, all right, very good, guys. Well, before we sign off, I know we've gone a little long today. Before we sign off, though, 2 questions. We can just kind of rapid fire hot take here. My first one, what team makes the most aggressive move at the trade deadline? Who do you got?
The Knicks. The Knicks are going to do something stupid. They're gonna get excited and they're gonna try to make a splashy move.
How stupid is stupid? Like Victor Oladipo?
I was gonna say Oladipo or Lonzo Ball, and they're gonna give up too much for it, and they're gonna continue to be mediocre.
They're gonna get more power forwards on that team, man.
Hell yeah, Aaron Gordon, send him over. Kamiar, who's your most aggressive trade deadline team?
Boston. I say Boston because they are. Yeah, sorry, Taylor. Pick a new team.
Boston was my team.
Because they like what 2 years ago we were like, man, Boston's an up and comer. They've got Jason Tatum, they got Jaylen Brown, they got all these other picks and all these other things. They should be the team of the future. And here they are, like a distant 3rd or 4th tier down to the Nets. Of course, the Nets is like that's its own thing, and the Bucks and the Sixers. I think they're gonna finally, I think Danny Ainge is finally going to get off his ass and spend some of the assets that they do have and try to bring in something legitimate, a big splash. And because if they're just going to do nothing now, they're going to sit on their hands. This is what it's going to be like for the next 3 to 4 years. You can't count on Tatum and Jaylen Brown's development because they can go elsewhere. So you need to start winning now, especially for Boston's sake. I think it's Boston.
Nice. I like it. Tayler, you have Boston as well?
Yeah, so Boston's mine as well, and I think Kamiar hit it spot on. But if I had to pick a second team, it'd be split between either Daryl Morey and the Sixers, because Daryl's going to do something. I had one other too. I'm going blank now. Morey and the Sixers. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Let's just go. I'll go Sixers as my second choice, because I think Boston's absolutely going to be active.
I love it. I love it. I think Boston maybe in the market for a point guard. George Hill would make a lot of sense there. Yeah. Also a big, are they the one that blinks and gives up something for like an Andre Drummond?
Portland was my other one I was going to mention. Keep an eye on Portland.
Very good. Very good. All right. Signing off of the podcast. Last question of the night, guys. The next time we sit here live, the trade deadline will be over. So this is your last time to fire off a take with all of us here. So don't hold back.
Ooh.
Empty the clip.
The Kings are going to trade for John Collins.
Oh,
I like it. What does that do to Marvin Bagley III?
Who cares? They're the Kings.
I love it. All right, Justin's hot take. The Kings. Hold on. Okay. I got a Woj bomb there, but it's something very not important and dumb and boring. So
Woj firecracker.
Woj.
Elise Johnson.
One of the little popper things.
The popper.
Yeah.
I got to give Justin the sounder.
I'm sweating. You tell me that motherfucker ain't hot, you lying, motherfucker.
The hot take sounder. All right, you other two, give me your hottest take for the deadline.
I don't know who they're going to get. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to be somebody of substance, somebody that earns roughly 15 mil and up. I think Dallas might pull the trigger on getting KP out of the Mavericks, because
I like that.
They have not been much better.
I like that.
Defensively, they've been horrific, and they want to win titles. Luka is going to win. Luka's going to win something in Dallas. May not be a title with KP. But I could see them, and Mark Cuban, of course. We're not going to trade Kristaps Porzingis. My ass, you're not going to trade Kristaps Porzingis if it makes your team better. So I'm going to say they're Kristaps Porzingis. He's gone. I don't know.
KP,
he might go back to the Knicks. Who knows?
KP out the door. That deserves the sounder.
I'm sweating. You tell me that motherfucker ain't hot, you lying, motherfucker.
So
Taylor.
here
you can't go weak here, bro.
4 weeks ago.
These other two, they've done one.
I know, they've been hot.
Jump off the cliff, bro.
Well, I was gonna say. So I was
Sounds
gonna
like
say
I'm trying
that
to get you to kill yourself. I'm not trying to do that. Just give me a hot trade take.
Easy.
Well, I've been thinking about jumping, Jacob, but now you say it.
I said pull the trigger. Just don't put the gun in your mouth first.
I want you to step back from that ledge, my friend.
Oh no, we're getting dark. So I was going to go ahead and make mine Thunder Pacific and say that there's going to be 3 new Thunder players on the roster post deadline, but that doesn't seem too hot now that you guys have mentioned this. So I'm just going to stick to my guns here, guys. Not to stick with our theme that we have going here over the last 10 seconds, but Zach LaVine, he gone.
Oh, that's hot.
LaVine.
Sweating. You tell me that motherfucker ain't hot, you lying, motherfucker.
I like
He's
it.
probably not gone, but
don't backtrack.
I've been holding out hope.
Come on, man. That's lame. That's so lame. He's like, hey, I got something hot. But
I don't really believe it.
But it's probably not going to happen. I just have to keep up.
My hot take. Here you go. You ready?
Yes.
I don't know if this is hot. I mean,
Here we
I don't
go.
think it would be hot for Thunder fans, but
You can't let us down with this.
Orlando trades Aaron Gordon, trades Evan Fournier, and trades Terrence Ross.
I love Terrence Ross because of the meme.
That's a
That
good
was
meme.
Yeah.
They're going to
good.
trade
It's
3
so
of their
good.
top rotational guys
Wow.
and go young for whenever the rest of their roster gets healthy. Primarily Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac. I was about slipping on his name there. Jonathan Isaac. They're going to go young and deal off some guys.
Hey, and kudos to
like
Markelle
it.
Fultz for like taking all the shit he did for like 2 years, restructuring his jump shot and everything else, and basically refinding himself as a basketball player and really balling out for them. Congratulations to him. I hope he
Sensitive
continues to
injury.
work.
By another injury.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
congrats to him. I'm glad he's in a place where he's happy and he can actually go and thrive. So kudos to that guy.
Yeah, and no pressure. I think makes that a lot better for him. So Sean in the chat saying Mo Bamba to the Thunder. Hey, sign me up. I got hose. All right, we're gonna get out of here now.
Colin.
Hey, thank you guys so much for joining the Uncontested podcast. We appreciate the crap out of you. If you joined us live tonight, shout out to you. We enjoyed following you guys along in the chat, answering some of your questions. If you're listening to the podcast version, hey, go drop a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts while you're listening to this outro. That would mean a lot to us. Write a little something nice. We are getting very close to 200 Apple reviews, and that would be a really cool milestone for us to hit. We would really appreciate it. It helps other people see the pod as well. We'll be back with you guys again Monday night after the Oklahoma City Thunder take on Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll be on the Locker Room app immediately post-game, and then we'll rip that audio and drop it as a podcast as well. So join the Locker Room app so you can listen to us live and come on stage and ask your questions. And again, Thursday, 1 p.m. Central Time, same place right here, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. We're going to join you guys for that last hour of the deadline and track everything, live reactions, talk to you guys in the chat. It's going to be a blast. So tune in for that. Make plans. Go hide in the bathroom at work if you have to. We'll be back with you guys again in about 24 hours. Until then, you guys enjoy your Monday. And as always, Thunder up.